But thinking about the culture of mentoring, okay? Talking
Mm.
about companies that have the culture, the mentoring culture. So put this like a learning journey. I love this. But if you are in a company that don't have this vision, so
Mhm.
how you can decide to go in a mentoring program? So and understand all the values that we are sharing here today. So wow, you can grow a lot. But we know the realities from different companies. So some companies had this the mentoring program inside the coach, but others no. So what you recommend?
Yeah, it's such a great question because and this is really what drove my TEDx talk and my thought about developing a TEDx talk around a developmental network. There are two pieces. There's the organizational piece and there's the individual agency and action piece. And in an ideal world, you have an organization that values it, that creates some formal structure and some competency building around a mentoring program. And you have an individual who takes agency and accountability for creating um, these developmental relationships, mentoring, peer mentoring, reverse mentoring, and so on and so forth. But that doesn't, to your point, always happen. Sometimes you're missing one of those elements, which is the organizational structure, but you still have the individual action and accountability. And so what I say to people is, how are you going to create your own developmental network? You can seek mentors in your organization. You can seek mentors externally. If you are in an industry and you have an association, a lot of times there's formal mentoring programs there, but you don't have to wait for formal mentoring programs. You still can create the structure in or more organic mentoring relationships. I might find that I want to learn, uh, you know, let's talk about how to influence within the organization. And I might see you, Andresa, as a leader who really knows how to do that. And so I might say to you, I'm really looking to learn about that, more how to navigate organizational structure. I know it's something that you're really good at. Could we have a conversation where I find out, where I learn more about what's worked for you in that, and ask you some questions? I can see if we. I'm not asking you to be my mentor because you might run. That's a big ask. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
asking somebody to marry you on the first date,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Instead, I'm asking you to have a conversation about something that I know you know more about. And I can determine in that conversation whether you have the interest, whether that we have the chemistry, whether you have the capability to have a developmental conversation that's ongoing. And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is nope, but I'm learning a lot from you and I can add you as part of my network and my resources. And maybe later it'll develop into a mentoring conversation. But all of that is about me as a learner taking responsibility for what it is I want to learn and putting out feelers as to who might be able to teach that to me and asking for the learning that I need from the people who I think might be able to give it to me.
And recognizing our vulnerabilities, I think, to decide to create this network, to talk with people and see people that is in a different level, and we can share this. So I like this idea. So
Yeah. I think the key to having that work is for everybody to recognize that it is a reciprocal relationship. And if I was approaching that conversation as somebody who was a taker from you, I would approach it with a lot less confidence, with the wrong kind of humility, right? Where maybe even shyness, maybe even just being a receptor as opposed to a giver. But when I can think about it as, even as much as saying, here's what I've learned from you, here's what I've gone to implement. How rewarding is that as somebody who's shared their knowledge and giving back? And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to take from you this knowledge of you as my mentor, instead I say, you know what, I'm adding to my network here. Later on, I might come across an article related to something that you taught me in that conversation and send it to you, and there's value there. And then all of a sudden, here comes that element of reciprocity. So, not being so tied to the idea that it's a formal mentoring relationship where I
mhm.
sit at your feet and just kind of swallow the knowledge that you give to me, but instead, it's this reciprocal interchange. It's much more empowering, and also much more nurturing.
Yes, and we win. I think, for both. Win-win.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, triple win, right? A win for you, a win for me, and a win for the context in which we're operating. Because
Yeah.
the more you have this connectivity in any working environment, the healthier and the more nurturing and the more innovative that environment's going to be.